Greetings. The following is a guided meditation that's focusing on allowing everything to be as it is. There is something within you, a dimension of your own being, that is already doing exactly that. What is awake and aware in you is always here for exactly the moment as it is. It is illuminating the moment exactly as it is. It is our mind, the conditioned mind, that doesn't like much allowing everything to be as it is, because it starts projecting or remembering, making judgments and so forth. But just for these next few minutes, I would invite you to see what it's like, what the effect might be when you simply allow everything to be as it is. And so let's start with the breath. I would invite you to awaken to your breath in this moment. Just putting your attention gently on the breath, letting it be exactly as it is. We're neither trying to deepen the breath or lengthen the breath or count the breath. We're just sitting quietly, allowing the breath to be exactly as it is. And what is the experience when you simply allow the breath to breathe itself? Now, it's mostly doing that all the time, but we frequently don't notice how the breath is simply breathing itself, moment to moment, the gift of breath, breathing itself in you. And then I might ask you to inquire, can you separate your awareness from your knowing of the breath that you might be watching right now? You see, we think of awareness and breath as being two separate things. But are they? Can you actually separate your awareness from the knowing of your breath? Or from the experiencing of your breath? Paying attention to the breath can bring many, many benefits. When we simply stop and pay attention, the breath is in this present moment. It's an anchor to now. And now is where we can be awake. So now become aware of your body, how it is right now. Noticing sensations, tensions, places of contraction or places of openness. So what happens if you make no attempt whatsoever to fix anything or change anything, but you just allow a compassionate awareness to become intimate with experience? Because this awake, aware mystery that we most deeply are, it is a compassionate awareness. It's not judging, it's not refusing, and it's not holding on to anything. And when we're observing or inquiring about our body experiences, we can ask simple questions and perhaps be surprised when the answer is received by an experience and not a thought. For instance, what does awakeness feel like right now in your right leg? Just put your attention on that. What does awakeness feel like right now in your right leg? perhaps you begin to feel a movement of energy. Something waking up a bit when you put your attention there. What does awakeness feel like right now in your left hand? And what does awakeness feel like in your entire body right now? We're just asking a what question, not a how or a why question, but just what. What does awakeness feel like in your body right now? What notices? What knows? Spend a little time just observing, inquiring, what does awakeness feel like now in the body? Where does attention want to move? Once again, if we make no attempt to fix anything, change anything, in this moment we have no need for an agenda to change a thing. We're simply observing, experiencing what it is like to allow everything in this moment to be as it is. And you might begin to feel a relaxation happening when we're not trying to make something be other than it is. Now clearly, if we're in pain, it's very difficult to want to allow that to be as it is. But the fact of the matter is, our relationship to pain actually shifts when we become aware that something is already awake and intimate with it. And even though the body may feel pain or contraction, what is awake and aware, the space of that openness, is actually not suffering. Even though it's intimate with our own pain and compassionate with whatever suffering we may experience. So now let's move on to explore awakeness of sound. Spend a few moments just awakening to the sounds in your environment right now. There may be many sounds in your field of awareness. But without needing to name them, even if your mind does so, can you go beyond the names and notice what is noticing sound? It's really not your conditioned mind, not your ears, but consciousness itself that is listening. It is awareness moving in the body-mind as your own consciousness. Can you become conscious of this awareness? Or could we say, are you aware of your own consciousness? It can begin to feel like a hall of mirrors when we're asking those questions of what is aware of consciousness, what is conscious of awareness. Ultimately, they are one. But they function a bit differently from my perception, at any rate. Consciousness is fluid. It can seem to expand or contract, to focus attention, to change perspective, to move as we become aware of listening, sensing, feeling, thinking. Consciousness is conscious of objects and can reflect on itself. But notice what is aware of being conscious. This appears silent, still, non-judging, even unmoving, despite the fact that it moves as consciousness in the body-mind to intimately meet the moment. Here's the paradox. The mind is not going to figure out, but you can feel it, you can sense it. There's something still and very present, even to the movement in your own experience of attention moving. Notice that this, I will call it a mystery because ultimately it's not a word that we could possibly imagine or use, but this mystery gives consciousness its strength. I sometimes call it the heart of awareness, but words are actually meaningless in this dimension. Just sense it. So for just a moment, can you allow what you experience as your consciousness to simply flow into its source or return to its home ground? Without naming, without defining, without needing to control anything or change anything. Simply be quiet and allow consciousness to melt into its source. The felt sense might be of attention moving down, down, down into the depths. Or it might be a sense of looking backward from the doorway of the eye into what comes before. Or perhaps there's a sense of flowing into the vastness of the deep beyond. Stay open to however and whatever wants to reveal itself. And in these moments, continue to recognize that there is something that is already allowing everything to be as it is. Even the mind's resistance is allowed to be what it is in this larger space of awake, aware being. And begin to see that it isn't judging a thing. While the mind is judging many things, this that's aware is not judging the judging. And we all know how much suffering can be caused by the judging mind. But something is not judging. And that's what I'm inviting us to explore, to sense into, to know experientially, not as an idea, but as something alive and present, awake, aware, right now, to your breath, to your body, to your sensations, to the sounds in your environment, and to itself. This that we are is constantly seeing itself, listening to itself, touching itself, seeing itself, loving itself, being awake to itself in infinite variety of experience and shape and form. So simply spend however long you might like after I stop talking to just allow your experience to be as it is, and to notice what's noticing, what's present to it, what is the knowing of your experience, whatever that might be. And I send many blessings to each one of you.